One more time. This video is going to be for the men. I want to thank everybody for calling in and emailing to help me get this in proper perspective, because this is not about me. This video is coming from so many other different people from different cultures, backgrounds, and over the years. It's 30 years of information I've gathered, so I'm putting this out here. There's some research behind it. We got so much information we need to put out here. Thank you to my daughter. She sealed the deal this morning. I was asking her how should I proceed with this video, and she said that a lot of the videos was about the ladies. And then I had some other ladies that called me and they said that most of those videos were about women. So I have a ton of information about me because coming out of the barbershop, that's where the information comes from. It started there. So of course we have a plethora of information. It's massive when it comes to the men. So this video is going to be in 2 parts easily. So depending on how we chop it up, depending on how much time it takes, I'm going to try to get everything in as much as possible and see if we can keep it moving. Okay, so if you can, the history of the Clipperdome, that was another video. It was the first video that we started it, okay? So go back and watch that so you can understand if this was started 30 years ago on the east side in Detroit. So having this information coming out of the barbershop, if you can understand after 30 years how many people we've come in contact with. So many different people that enriched our lives with different backgrounds, and some of it positive and some of it's negative. If we can come from 30 years, it was in 3 different states that we started gathering this information. And you can test it and try it, you'll find this to be true, because the commonality with who men are, coming from a boy to a young man to a man to become a man, is pretty consistent, pretty much in the African American community, no matter where you go. If you could think back to the first, just say when civilization started, our cities, not civilization, the cities, when we started our cities and towns. If you can remember back, the first thing that you saw in the city, we used to see a jail, we saw a bar, we saw a church, a general store, and we saw the barbershop. So I want to try to give you the history of the barbershop and understand that no matter if you went to the church, if you went to the liquor store, if you went to the general store, wherever you went in that town, you went to the barbershop. So when we had the brothers come through the barbershop and we get this information, and if you are paying attention, you will start to see the common things that show up all the time amongst men and young men in the barbershop. So we started recording that information, of course, in reference to the other video. So after we recorded that information and started writing it down, and we took it in as research. In our community, there's a rich history in the barbershop. So that's where the Clipperdome Chronicles comes from that wealth of knowledge. I've had a young man on the east side of Detroit, was 12 years old. He got banned from Eastland. Eastland is a mall on the east side of Detroit. At 12 years old, he was banned because he was a thief. He stole so much, he literally got banned. If he was caught on tape coming into that mall, he would be escorted back out. That's at 12 years old. I had another brother. He was also a thief. He got banned out of the state of Ohio. The judge told him, if you fly over the state of Ohio, you have to call and let us know. This is what's going on with this brother. Now, I'm saying that to say, good or bad, we still learn a lot. I learned that neither one of these brothers had fathers. So when I look at my brothers who could be locked up, peace, prayer, and power to those brothers, it's because of lack of fathers, a lack of guidance, a lack of manhood supervision in your life, giving direction and order. So that was the negative side. So then I met 2 geniuses. It was documented that they were geniuses. This is not just hearsay. They were geniuses on paper. And one of them was an alcoholic. But that one particular brother taught me so much about electronics. He could fix anything. He taught me about carpentry. He taught me how to fix up some of the properties that I used to have back in the day in Detroit. Giving me those skills because he was an alcoholic. I'm saying this to say, just because somebody has a challenged background, you can learn from that. So learning from the genius that was an alcoholic, he gave me, he was a father, and he was married for a very long time. He made very good money. He worked in the plant. He was skilled trades. He made like $32 to $33 an hour. This was back in the 90s. And I'm saying that to say the good comes out of the bad. So moving forward, I met a family. It was a father and his two sons. They had an electrical company. And they used to go around, of course, fixing electrical. They'll rewire your house. So they used to come to the barbershop and they taught me how to rewire the valance in the barbershop, the long gas lights. I didn't know how to change that. So when the power source went out inside of it, it's very, very simple, but I didn't know. I would never think to look inside of that. So because they had a father and the two sons took after their dad, they taught me how to next time change my my light socket. So of course the other one went out because I had several. So when that light fixture went out, I was able to go up there and fix it myself because of the knowledge that was given to me through the barbershop, through the father that came to the sons, that transferred to me, and this is how we get here to this conversation. Manhood, being a man. We're going to go back a little bit to the other video. So go back to the video. It's called What is a Man? Being a man is a spiritual, mental, and physical responsibility. It is not a gender. It is a title. Being a man is a title. It is not a gender. If you could just be called a man or be charged with being a man because of genitalia and being over 18 or 21 years old, that would be very simple. For our sisters, she could be a woman walking down the street with a stroller and a child walking by her side. She could be charged with being a woman. It's very, very simple. We do it every day, all day. But that's not so for a man. Because a man is over 18 with male genitalia, he could be told to man up. Why do we say that? Because we look for more out of our men. There is an order, there is a charge, there is a responsibility that is put upon you to do what you're supposed to do for your family. So when they use that term man up, why are they saying that? If you could automatically get charged for being a man because you have genitalia. You can have a man almost 40 years old, he could be 35, and his father would tell him, son, you have to man up. That title is given or taken away depending on the situation and the circumstances. I went to, being a man is definitely a serious situation, especially in our society today because there's no order. And with being a man, he is the head of the household. And when I say that, this is not negative to the sister, not at all. The sister is going to look for the man to guide and direct, to protect and provide. And she is the massive assistant. She is the ultimate support. He cannot do it effectively without her. He is inefficient. It is not that she is behind. It is not that she is less than. She is necessary. For him to be a man and be efficient and be the best man, he is going to have that woman to complete his family unit, period. I went to Alabama A&M University, and I went to get my education, and I dropped out of college in my third year. I dropped out of college in my third year because education was very important, and it still is. But that wasn't my call. My charge as a man, something told me to leave. When I left college in my junior year, before I left, I met a prince. He was from Africa. His name was Prince Tambwe. And when I was talking to the prince, he was always a quiet guy. He was always monotone. He was very, very focused. He had an eerie type of seriousness to him. So one day he finally finished it. He was getting his PhD, and I said, Prince, I said, why are you not happy? You should be, excited. He never went to parties, and he never really got excited. And I was trying to figure, why wasn't he excited? Why wasn't he proud of himself? Why wasn't he happy about his accomplishments? He said, Dennis, he said, I can't get excited because I had to come here to another country to learn engineering so I could go back and build roads to take care of my community. Of course, his father was a king. And his father sent his son to go and get knowledge so that he could come back and build roads for his town and in his city. That is a different charge on your life, brothers. You have to understand that we have to have a principle and a purpose. But meeting Prince Tambwe was amazing to me because for me, I knew a lot of engineers, but I never knew engineers that had that type of purpose. So it started to make me look at manhood a little bit differently. We want to talk about education. Speaking of education and being a man, the intentionality behind an education, behind knowledge. Prince Tambui's intent to get his knowledge was totally different from me and the other engineers that I knew that were in school. Prince Tambui's intention was to go back and build roads because he had a purpose, because he had a call and a charge that was given to his father from the village to come back and get this knowledge so he could build those roads. If Prince Tambui went in there with his intentionality just to be an engineer, that would be a totally different outcome after he acquired that degree. The other engineers I knew, their intentionality was different than Prince Tambui's. The intentionality of most of the engineers that I knew was to go out and get a job and make 6 figures. So there was a totally different approach, and there was a different outcome with the same direct path, same journey, same destination, but the outcome was totally different. We can go into looking at manhood. If it's supposed to be an order, and it is the man's responsibility to lead the family, we cannot sit back idly and look for the sister to change our circumstances and conditions. Most women are looking for us as the man to take the charge and do what needs to be done so we can focus on what we need to focus on so that we can build our families, our community, and then also enrich ourselves. I would like to try to see if we can try to adopt some different, just ideality, just some thoughts. I just want to try to get some brainstorming going on, get some think tanks. What will happen if we could get our brothers who might be out in the street gang banging for whatever reason it is to come together and stop killing each other, gang banging against one another? That could be building the military. What if we could get our young people to start focusing on how to go to school so they could do specific things to go into the community and enrich and build our community specifically with that intentionality? So when they're coming up, they're going to have to look for a job because we already have a job for them. That's our youth coming into the community to build it. What if we could take our current mothers and fathers and we could get more healthy, more viable relationships, and we could have them more cohesive to help raise those children and make us a more solid community? What if we could get our elders to come back and help those couples or those married people to enrich those families that can enrich those children that can send them to school to get an education to change their intentionality? The man has a call on his life. You are charged with a purpose. But we have to have order. We're going to need a definition. We're going to have a process. We're going to need a path. And we're going to need a destination. So I want you to take this. I want you to try this. I want you to test this. I want you to take it to the barbershop. I want you to take it to the hair salon. Take it to the job or take it to the church. We want you to like and subscribe and drop us a comment. This is the Clipperdome Chronicles. Thank you.